Mysterious Inheritance. Harry and Emily decided to spend the weekend in an old house that Harry inherited from his grandfather in a small town called Chestnut Hill in Pennsylvania. This house was a stone witness to the passage of time, its walls holding numerous stories and secrets. Harry hadn't been there in a long time, as he had been constantly busy lately. Whether it was his studies or work, they never allowed him the time for a proper getaway in the countryside. So, when the opportunity presented itself, Harry and Emily decided to come here, to his grandfather's old house. Especially because childhood memories of Harry spending his school summer vacations here had been haunting him lately. Here they hoped to be alone and enjoy each other's company in a cozy, peaceful setting, far away from the hustle and bustle of city life. When they arrived in Chestnut Hill, they saw picturesque streets adorned with red maples and the locals who seemed friendly and hospitable. Harry's house stood on the outskirts of town, surrounded by dense woods. An ancient bridge over a small river disappeared into the distant darkness, adding to the place's mystery. On their first evening, they decided to spend time on the porch, as the evenings were still warm. When it got colder, they planned to move inside by the fireplace and continue savoring the exquisite wine from Harry's grandfather's collection. The weather was still summery, even though autumn had officially arrived. Time passed unnoticed. The young couple enjoyed the pleasant, warm evening, splendid wine, and conversation. Emily sat beside Harry, resting her head on his shoulder. He tenderly embraced her, sipping the excellent wine from his grandfather's cellar. The wine was truly magnificent. Harry had stumbled upon it by accident when he went down to look for light bulbs to replace the burnt-out ones. Finding it felt like hitting the jackpot. They couldn't read the wine label as the labels had mostly deteriorated, but it was clear that the wine was very old, authentic, and probably very valuable by today's standards. Harry began to consider the idea of using this discovery to improve their financial situation, which had been shaky since he took out a loan for a new car and paid a deposit for their future cozy nest. He was momentarily distracted from his cheerful mood and philosophical thoughts about a successful financial investment when the weather suddenly took a turn for the worse. A sudden gust of wind seemed to come out of nowhere and nearly shattered all the open windows on the first floor. The two friends jumped up and rushed inside, not forgetting to take their glasses and the half-empty wine bottle with them. They hurried to close the remaining windows that miraculously survived the onslaught of the wind. Suddenly, a blood-curdling cry echoed from the upper floors. It wasn't just a cry, but more of a howl or scream. Harry and Emily froze in their tracks, paralyzed by fear. Emily dropped the glass she had been holding, despite the need to close the windows. Cold sweat broke out on Harry's forehead, and he sobered up instantly, as if he hadn't been tipsy just a moment ago. There was no trace of the alcohol haze. Right after the chilling scream, silence descended, only disturbed by the wind howling outside. The two stood there as if rooted to the spot, afraid to move. Harry's first thought was to get out of this once familiar, now terrifying house as soon as possible. But the car keys were in the bedroom on the second floor, and they had to go upstairs to retrieve them. To go up there, where someone had just screamed in sheer terror.